Good morning, and happy Monday. Sorry about that slow start. It is time for our first book talk videos of the new school year. And although I read lots of books over the summer, today I'm going to talk about books that we have in the East High Library, so that if you guys are interested in them, you can come check them out. So the first one is, I want to say, If These Wings Could Fly. The if is a little covered up right there, by McCauley. It's in our fantasy section, which is why I checked it out. I thought, oh, I need to read some fantasy in my life. And so I checked it out. But mostly to me, even though there was some magical realism happening, it was mostly what felt very much like a contemporary book. This girl and her family live with an abusive dad. And so most of the book is that struggle. It's how do you maintain a life and move forward with dignity and still survive what happens in your house every night. The parts of it that were fantastical were kind of interesting, actually. Things like dad would punch the wall and the next morning the drywall would be repaired. There's a flock of crows who kept adding to their numbers, shall we say, and they would take things, which crows do. That's not to me so magical, but it was very interesting how the crows were a part of the story. It was a little hard to read because of the domestic abuse part, but I did really enjoy it. All right, so I've Killing November, book 1, we have in the library. Hunting November, book 2, is not quite ready to go on the shelf yet, but is getting close. So Killing November comes before Hunting November, which I thought was an interesting title choice, but it is what it is. So this girl has been raised by her mother and her father in the middle of nowhere on the east coast of America. Her mother dies and their father raises her, and she thinks it's just, she's just a normal kid. Her dad's just a normal dad, and everything is fine. And then her aunt goes missing, and her dad goes to find her, and he sends her to boarding school. She's like, well, odd choice, but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do, Dad. If you don't have anyone else to leave me with, I'll go to boarding school. Except as it turns out, this boarding school, very different than what she expected. And so instead of having chemistry, she takes a class called poisons. Instead of having English, she takes classes on diplomatic negotiations. And there's a whole lot of revelations that happen about the boarding school that I'm not going to spoil for you, but so good. Ends on an extreme kind of cliffhanger, and then this one comes in. So they're really good. This one, she actually leaves the boarding school, but she is still pursuing her father and her aunt, who are now both missing. So I loved it. I love a boarding school book. I love a mystery and sort of a treasure hunt and a follow the crumbs to figure out what's going on book. And this was definitely that. So good. All right. And then because I just couldn't help myself, I reread The Inheritance Games by Barnes. It's in mystery. Sorry, this one is also in mystery by Mather. Book 2 is coming out in October, and I got an early copy of it. And it's so good. Inheritance Game is the first one, and a young woman who is housing insecure finds out that she has inherited billions from this stranger that she's never met. And there's only a couple of catches. One of which is she has to move into the house that the billionaire built. But also living in the house are his 4 grandsons, his 2 daughters, and one of the daughter's spouses. That doesn't sound complicated at all, right? Some virtual stranger disinherited Grandpa's money, and now you have to live with Grandpa's family. This one also, huge treasure hunt, huge follow the clues. As it is, turns out the grandfather has set this elaborate game into motion that the young lady and the 4 grandsons have to complete to move on to the next book. I loved it. I love everything Jennifer Lindborn writes. I really do. This one was exceptional. We will be getting the next one when it comes out, but that will not be until I think October. If you want to get an early start, check this one out soon. Hope you guys got some good reading done. If you have any books that you'd like to recommend to me personally to read or to the library in general to purchase when we do get our book money later, come talk to us. We are checking out books already. We already have classroom checkouts and independent checkouts, and we would love, love, love to talk books with you.